play fantasy football, you know it's not about your first 3 or 4 picks, right? It's really about your last 3 or 4 picks. Y'all know what I'm talking about, those fantasy football sleepers, man. So let's get into it. Since we're already on the topic of quarterback, let's talk about some quarterbacks that we think could be fantasy football sleepers this year. I think last season, there were a couple. Namely, you could go with a Brock Purdy, who I'd say was a sleeper last year. Geno Smith might have been the ultimate fantasy football sleeper last season. Yeah. I'm not sure if he's going to replicate that same production, but if so, he might be getting drafted in the early rounds this year. Who are y'all seeing this year as a fantasy football sleeper, man? Scrub, I'll start with you.
Come back to me. I'm going to have to marinate on that one.
Yeah.
I got you.
All right, let's
go ahead with you.
I'm not trying to be a homer, but
oh my God.
we're going to go with Daniel Jones. New York, baby. My man got himself a decent tight end, not even a great tight end on Waller.
Okay.
And now, well, I don't want to get into our other topics, but like Daniel Jones looking like he's making strides this offseason. I'm liking what we're seeing. I think Daniel Jones is gonna be one of those top 10 quarterbacks that.
All right, I got my.
That's hard to argue with, bro. Especially when you talk about the passing yards and the rushing yards and the rushing touchdowns that he's bound to get. Yo, Daniel Jones, like, he hasn't been great throughout his career, but that's the perfect example of an organization that's stuck behind a young guy, letting him learn from his mistakes, letting him grow through them. And that's kind of what you got to do with quarterbacks. I could see a Daniel Jones breakout season. Not going to hold you, bro. You might not be too far off with that. Hopefully you are, but you might be right.
All right. I got mine, man. So my fantasy football quarterback sleeper is going to be Jordan Love this year for the Green Bay Packers. And 2 reasons, and Bryce kind of alluded to it. You got a young quarterback that's the team building around. You don't ship out the former MVP unless you got some stuff with you. You know what I'm saying? And they got something with Jordan Love. He was actually balling last season when Rodgers was down. And it seemed like the locker room was behind him. So I think Jordan Love's going to have an impressive year this year for Green Bay. I think he's going to be a top 15 quarterback, you know what I'm saying, as far as fantasy football. And to me, that's good enough to get you in the game. You know what I'm saying? That's a playoff roster if you got a top 15 quarterback.
All right, I like it. Ron, what you got?
All right, so my fantasy QB sleeper for this year is definitely going to catch some side eyes. It always does. But he's really a sleeper every year, and it's Kirk Cousins.
I knew he was going to say
they knew it was where it's coming from, man.
Oh, shit.
And look, it's not even Commander Love. The man been killing it on the Vikings for many years. He's got potentially the best receiver in the game, Justin Jefferson. He's paired with Kevin O'Connell. Look, for whatever reason, people love to hate on Kirk. He's, the corny dad, yada, yada, yada. I get it. I'm here for it, though, man. If you want a sleeper that people are going to definitely pass over, and he's still going to put up a ton of points, definitely probably a top 10 fantasy QB almost every season, it's Kirk Cousins. And trust me, people will forget about him. It happens every year.
That's right.
That's a fact, bro. I thought about making Kirk my sleeper because you're right, bro. Every single season, when I'm doing my fantasy football draft, it gets to the 6th, 7th, 8th round. Kirk Cousins is still around, bro. And every single year for the past 3-4 seasons, he's been a top 10 quarterback as far as stats go. I mean, it's almost a given at this point. T, who you got?
I have a real sleeper. Ryan Tannehill.
What?
Hear me out.
What the hell?
Hear me out.
Wait, he's still pitching Tennessee, right?
He's still the starter.
All right, let's hear it.
Everywhere D-Hop goes, he elevates the quarterback play. Everywhere, short and sweet. D-Hop's there. There's a running game. Now we have a receiving from the outside. Trust me. Don't go Jordan Love. Daniel Jones. But if you get caught late in the draft and you have nobody, take a shot on Tannehill. Trust me.
Ooh, man. This is a good one. This is how you become Dan Snyder's dynasty. Ryan Tannehill. Hey, all right, we'll see. But he is another sleeper. It is a sleeper. I'll give you that. And he is another guy that'll give you a little bit of rushing yards. So you got to give him a little bit of up his volume just to tick for that. But damn, man, if it gets to the point where you got to take Ryan Tannehill, first off, you're probably in a 2-quarterback league, so every quarterback, I don't know, man. My sleeper this year, though, is a guy that I was high on coming out of college. And
Mike Jones?
I know I was high on him, too, and that hasn't worked out too well for me. But it's Kenny Pickett from the Steelers, man. I like this. I've always liked the Steelers receiving corps. I'm really, y'all know I'm big on Deontay Johnson. I'm big on George Pickens. I think George Pickens is about to emerge as probably a top 10 receiver pretty soon before it's all said and done. I'm loving what I'm seeing from George Pickens. And I like what they got in the tight end room. They drafted Darnell Washington out of Georgia. They got the big boy that was at Penn State a few years ago. I mean, they got some guys. They got some guys in that tight end room. I can see Kenny Pickett emerging as one of these top guys. And to your point, G, he's in that Daniel Jones mode to me a little bit, but I just think he's a much more talented passer. Maybe not as strong as an arm, but when it comes to arm talent, being accurate with the football, I think Kenny Pickett's got that down pat. I just see this guy emerging. I really see this guy emerging. And, one thing I've seen from the Steelers over the past couple seasons, all they needed is a quarterback. And let's not forget, Mike Tomlin, he's going to put his guys in the best position to win. They're going to be a good team. They're going to have a good defense. So Kenny Pickett's going to get a whole bunch of bites at the apple, right? And I just think this might be one of those quarterbacks where if you're in that, if you want to wait on QB for the whole draft and you want to spin the block on your quarterback, if Kenny Pickett's sitting there, I think that's a good option. Even if you want to get a good backup quarterback in case you get a guy like Mahomes early or somebody like that, and you want to have good insurance, Kenny Pickett could be that guy for you. I think by about week 10, week 12, we'll be looking at it like, damn, this dude is emerging as one of the better quarterbacks in the league. We'll see how that works out. So let's keep it pushing though, man. We started with quarterback. Let's move to the guys that support the quarterback like no one. Let's move to those receivers, man. I think that, in my opinion, there's no more important position than wide receiver in fantasy football. You got to know what you're looking at. You got to hit on them. I remember back to last season, I gave my fantasy sleeper receiver was Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he is damn sure no longer a sleeper. Right? He ain't no sleeper no more, right? But I feel like that's one position we generally hit on pretty well as a group. So let's get it, man. Who wants to kick it off with sleepers this year for wide receivers?
I'll kick it off. I'll kick it off. Same way G kicked off the last one, man. I'm gonna be a homer right here, right? My sleeper for wide receiver, and I don't know if everyone's still sleeping on him because he's emerging, is Jahan Dotson. Terry McLaurin might be down week 1, so that's gonna boost his status right there. Jahan's in for a big season. I follow the Commanders very closely, so trust me when I say Jahan Dotson has the potential to have a bigger season than Terry McLaurin. So, and that says a lot because Terry gets you 1,175 catches and about 5 touchdowns a year. Jahan could outdo Terry easily this season, especially with Sam Howell QB. So for sleeper wide receiver, I'm going to Dotson. Sam Howell, who's probably going to outdo. Really, I don't want to be too much of a homer, but I'd probably take him over Daniel Jones at QB for a sleeper too. But I mean, we keep it pushing.
You said some.
We keep it
pushing. You doing drugs, my man. 2 times. You made 2 crazy statements today.
And
the second one, this one.
Let's ratchet it up a little bit. I'll throw a dub. Sam Howell has more touchdown passes than Daniel Jones this year.
I'll do that too. I'm about to collect a bunch of money off you guys. Yo, Bryce, I'm with it. I'm with this. Yo, this is what you brought me here to take people's money. I'm here for it all. Yo, you're crazy. Sam Howell, bro.
I like that Jahan Dotson.
I know you don't even believe that. I know you wasn't bad.
I believe that.
Of course you do.
Yeah, of course I do. I love it. I love that Jahan Dotson play. I think Dotson could emerge though, man. I can see that happening.
We got to upgrade the cable package off that local news, my boy.
Hey, but Ron makes a good point though, man. Like Jahan Dotson's play will be directly tied to Sam Howell. I think when you talk about Daniel Jones, you're never going to take a Giants receiver, right? And no one's looking for no Giants receivers in their fantasy draft because he doesn't get the ball to receivers. And these receivers are directly tied to the quarterbacks. I don't care how good the receiver is, bro. If the quarterback's a bum, chances are you're not getting no production from that receiver. So, keep that in mind as we keep moving through this segment here. T, it sounds like you had one too.
Yeah, Homer, this one. Brandon Ayuk. This is the year he surpasses Debo.
But that's not even a sleeper, bro.
Come
on now, bro. I
drafted
Ayuk in the 3rd round.
Are you crazy as hell?
That's a little bit of a reach.
3rd round.
And there's never been a reach.
He's never finished.
Debo Samuel, that's
He's never finished in the top 10.
Top 15. But I got 20 to 15.
20. I don't know if he's been top 20. I don't even know if he cracked 1,000.
He top 20.
I did crack 1,000
last year. First year cracked 1,000. Yeah, but I think, when you look at 49ers, you're looking at Kittle, you're looking at Debo. I think Ayuk is the guy that most people are raving about right now in camp. We saw it last night. Took a 10-yard hitch to almost to the house. So Brandon Ayuk, man.
I'm a big Brandon Ayuk believer. Like I said, if I draft someone in the third round, it's because I'm a believer. I seen it happen. Debo Samuel. That's what I say. What A and B. It's like hard to like different.
I like that saying. I think he might be better than Debo too this year.
Yeah, I think so.
That's one of the young receivers I've been tied to from day one. T, you remember we had that conversation. I'm like, I see some Odell Beckham in Brandon Ayuk earlier. That was my guy from out of Arizona State. He hasn't quite lived up to it yet, but to my earlier point, he's been tied to his quarterback, and up to this point, it's been Jimmy G. They got Purdy last year, and you start to see what Brandon Ayuk could really do. So maybe if Purdy force feeds him, he'll start, having that season we expected from him. Yeah. What you think, Scrub? Who you got, bro?
I got a boomer bust pick right here for my sleeper for wide receiver, and that's Kadarius Toney for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I like that.
Reason being, they let go of some of their top receivers last year. Juju Smith-Schuster out the door. Their number one receiver right now is going to be probably Kadarius Toney between him and Sky Moore and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's really not that good. They're going to need someone that's going to hit the top end of the defense.
Disrespecting
you know what I'm saying? With all due respect.
PBS catching strays, bro.
He's mediocre at best. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about the Chiefs' offense, Kadarius Toney was a playmaker for them in the Super Bowl. He can be utilized in multiple ways. I think he's going to be in that Tyreek Hill kind of role. Now, it's going to be a boom or bust play because can he stay healthy? Now, this man rolled his ankle frequently. So I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy. But if he stays healthy, it's a boom pick. He's going to be looking like a baby Tyreek Hill this year.
To Scott's point, I think he's not going to roll his ankle as much because he's not playing with Daniel Jones' bum ass. So that might keep the ankle safe. Speaking of ankles, Daniel Jones' ankles ain't that good either. You remember that run he had where he was all over it?
Ran out of gas.
Man. It was on eating too much.
G, what you thinking, man? Who you got as your sleeper, bro?
Marquise Brown. I know nobody's gonna really be picking like sleepers like that. And this is a real sleeper where it's like his production does not tie in with no kind of quarterback. Because look what he did when he was with Lamar Jackson. He didn't really need him, and then he goes to the Cardinals. Yep. He has a bunch of booty quarterbacks. He did decent. I think before he got hurt, he was in pace for over 1,000 yards. So Marquise Brown is one of those sleepers. If you could get him any between the 7 and the 10, it's not a reach.
I seen some training camp footage and get yoked up by some corners.
Marquise Brown is the guy you definitely just want to stay sleep on.
No.
He's not eating this season.
Well, who's throwing the ball?
Yeah, like to Bryce's point,
you're tied to John Dodson.
He's tied to Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy, Kyler.
Come on.
Kyler coming back this year. Now they got Josh Dobbs too.
They got Dobbs over there.
They
just traded for him.
All right, it's gonna be rough.
But I mean, to be fair, he put up decent numbers in the 31st ranked pass offense with the Ravens.
Well, he's gonna be the number one receiver on the worst offense in the league,
which means they're gonna use a lot of third and longs.
Yeah, so that's something. You might have something there.
Yeah, it makes some good points, man. All right, well, I got a couple sleepers. I got one. Mine are like legit sleepers, bro. Like guys that you can draft in the last 2 rounds, you know what I'm saying, that can give you production. I think that's what you got. I think that's what really wins you fantasy football, bro. Is when you got players go down, you got injuries, do you have someone that can step up and still get you production? So my first one is tied directly to a quarterback who I think could have a breakout season. I heard G talk about a few weeks ago, this guy could be an MVP this year, and that's Trevor Lawrence. One of his favorite targets last year was a guy who doesn't get a whole bunch of love in the league, but seems to just, maybe finally hit his stride, and that's Zay Jones. Last year, Zay Jones was probably Trevor Lawrence's favorite target, especially in clutch moments. I'm talking about third downs, must-have situations. He was looking for Zay Jones. Zay Jones is not the most explosive receiver in the world, right? He's not about to blow by nobody. He's not about to, moss somebody for a crazy touchdown, one-hand touchdown. What he is going to be this year is going to be reliable. And I think if we have a Trevor Lawrence season where he gets, 4,200, 4,300 yards from Trevor Lawrence, then that means Zay Jones probably goes for 1,000. I know they got my guy over there now, Calvin Ridley on the outside. Christian Kirk had a hell of a season last year. Christian Kirk was a sleeper last season, right? And I think a lot of attention is going to be paid to those speedy guys. It's going to let Zay Jones eat underneath on those simple crossing routes. He's a guy that the average air yards that he gets on his passes is always very low, and I think that bodes well to be the security blanket that Trevor Lawrence needs this season. Another guy, I'm talking about last round, bro. You need a last round wide receiver. Remember this one. Cedric Tillman from the Browns, bro. T made a point about DeAndre Hopkins elevating every quarterback he gets. Well, one quarterback that elevates every receiver that he gets is Deshaun Watson, bro. You play with Deshaun Watson, I don't care who you are, you got a chance to become something a wide receiver because Deshaun Watson gonna air that ball out. One of the reasons initially became high on Cedric Tillman because coming out he played with Jalen Hyatt, who went to the Giants, right? And every time I was watching the tape of Jalen Hyatt while I was doing my scouting, bro, Cedric Tillman kept popping up the screen, bro, making a crazy play, a crazy block, getting extra yardage after contact. I'm like, bro, who is this dude? And he ended up going in the third round, bro. And I think a lot of teams were probably watching Jalen Hyatt and realizing, damn, this Cedric Tillman dude is that dude. Early in the offseason, Randy Moss said that Cedric Tillman is the best wide receiver to come out of this draft. I heard Steve Smith Sr. say that Cedric Tillman is the most slept-on receiver in this draft, is going to be a star. And then I heard Chad Ochocinco say the same thing, right? One thing about receivers is receivers, no receivers, bro. Like, yo, I ain't never heard a receiver that was nice in the league be wrong about another receiver, bro. And so when I'm hearing that, I'm like, yeah, I think this Cedric Tillman guy going to be something. So last round of your fantasy draft, I always try to take a couple rookies in those last 1 or 2 rounds because you just never know who's going to boom or bust. About a year ago, I took Damian Pierce, and that he changed the outlook of one of my teams, bro. Right? I think Cedric Tillman can have that type of effect at wide receiver this season. We shall see, you know what I'm saying? But that's one of my guys. That's one of my guys in the late rounds. So let's keep it pushing though. Moving on from receiver, we already hit quarterback. We got to hit them RBs.
Get down there with
He
2/5 of your team. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta get that going right now.
The key to us, the key to strict days, bro, is this thing. Niggas don't argue.
Well, how did y'all get marked in that? Yeah.
In the championship?
Oh, period.
Somebody said he wasn't there.
Only for me.
Exactly, bro.
Jealous fan with me.
That's how we calm him down. He wasn't there. All right. He won the chip.
No, your man was at the side of the pool. He like the song the DJ played. I'm like, hey, bro.
Going crazy.
Oh, you bro was 1 bottle of tequila. Like, you tell us DJ trade the song.
We're gonna take 3, finish it up.
So this still the main one?
This is the main
Oh,
one.
this the main one? All right, better. All right, let's get it, man. So I'll count it down before. We live right now?
Wait, just one or that one?
This one.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we about to hit, we got
Running back and tight end.
running back and tight ends for fantasy football sleepers, all right?
Yeah.
Let's get it. 3, 2. All right, continuing along with the fantasy football sleepers. Now we at the running back position, man. This is a position that's gotten devalued over the last few years, right? Some of y'all don't even care about the running backs no more. I feel like I'm the only man still banging the drum for the running backs. But let's get into it because you still got to have good running backs to win a fantasy football draft. And there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways to go about the running back position now because there's a lot of different style of running backs. You got the ones that catch the ball in the backfield. You got your workhorses. You got your handicap running back. You just handcuffing because you know this dude might get hurt, so let me get his back up, right? So let's get into some sleepers, man. I'll kick this one off with the running backs. My number 1 running back sleeper this year, Scruff, you're going to be happy to hear this, my boy. Kenneth Gainwell, man. Kenneth Gainwell from the Philadelphia Eagles. I do believe that Kenneth Gainwell will be RB1 in Philadelphia, man. What I saw from that man last year, bro, every time he touched the football, it was electric, bro. It was electric. And I think his style of running back lends well to what the Eagles need to do to be successful, right? We already know we've called Jalen Hurts a running back 1,000 times on this show, right? They don't really need that workhorse running back. What they need is that versatile piece at RB. I think Kenneth Gainwell ends up being RB1 over there. From what I was seeing in the preseason from the Eagles, it seemed like to me DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny was battling for that 2 spot because when they rested the starters, Kenneth Gainwell on the bench with Jalen Hurts while DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny still out there working. So I'm like, hold up, that told me something. I'm like, Kenneth Gainwell gonna be that guy. He's somebody I would try to target in that, 9th, 8th, 9th round. If you can grab him, he should probably still be there. I think he ends up giving you a whole bunch of value at that running back spot. Who else got a sleeper at running back?
I got a sleeper actually, but it's in complementary to what you said, but totally against it actually. So I think Kenneth Gainwell is going to be a big part of the offense, but Philly's a committee style backfield approach, and they've never been anything different than that. So I imagine they're going to continue with that. I think what you're seeing is Gainwell's going to be the guy on the receiving downs. He's going to be that third down back. He's going to be the guy that's going to be there on passing plays. Swift's going to be the guy that's going to give him the lightning, and then what do we call it? Penny is going to be the thunder. You know, he's going to give him a little bit of that power back. So I think all three backs are going to get used, actually including Boston Scott, the fourth back, and even Trey Sermon looked pretty good in the preseason. So I think the Eagles are going to stick to their backfield committee approach. So I wouldn't go with him. Personally, if I was going to take a running back, I would probably go with Swift out of the bunch because he's the most talented. I think the cream's going to rise to the top. But I think all three of them, or really the top two, should be extremely productive.
Yeah, see that my problem when it comes to running backs, I don't touch damaged goods at running back, bro. I'm not getting Swift. I'm not getting Penny. I'm not getting nobody that gets hurt every single season, bro. I'm cool with the trends, bro. I love trends. In my line of work, what I do outside of gas, bro, I have to look for trends and I have to trust them, bro. And when I see a trend, I'm gonna believe it. And those guys get hurt every single season, so I tend to stay away from those type of running backs unless I'm hitting with the handcuff, right? If I handcuff them, then fine. You know what I'm saying? If I can get Swift and Gainwell, cool. But I tend to stay away from those guys that stay hurt, man. Ron, what you think when we running back, bro?
Running back is tough because, like you said, you kind of got to go with the handcuff in case you get a guy injured. But I was thinking about this for a minute now. I think I'm gonna go Miles Sanders in Carolina as a sleeper. I feel like he's kind of a forgotten man. And then you got Hubbard who could be an easy handcuff down. He's proved his worth being a backup running back. Like you said, running back has been so devalued that almost every running back is a sleeper. So you really just got to try to find somebody who's going to get the touches, right? Who's going to get the. If you're in a PPR league, you definitely want somebody who can be a pass catcher because there's not too many real bruisers that are just going to get you 1,100, 1,300 rushing yards or more because they're not going to get the attempts. So really, most running backs are a sleeper, and if you can find somebody who you know is going to be like a starter or a guy that's going to get the ball, that's probably who you should go with.
Yeah, good point. T, you got some mind?
Yeah, and I'm really trying to hit on all these. Since we in person,
Yeah.
the run the tape gonna be crazy. So, and you made a good point with the trends. I didn't think about it, but my sleeper has been hurt every year, but he's finally healthy. J.K. Dobbins. I think J.K. Dobbins has a good chance. I'm gonna tell you why. Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham. No more loaded boxes. Lamar Jackson should see plenty of 4-man, 5-man boxes, which means hand that ball off, right? I still don't think they're gonna let him throw 35 times a game. So J.K. Dobbins, biggest motivator in life, bro. It's a contract year. Being broke. Being broke. All right. So he needs to play, he needs to perform, and I think this is a good chance, good opportunity for him.
Like that.
I love J.K. Dobbins, man. I always have.
The trend is he's hurt every year.
Yeah.
That's his only problem. And you always got to weigh out these injuries, right? And you got to say, is this guy off injured or has he suffered a couple freak accidents, bro? And I lean towards freak accident when it comes to J.K. Dobbins versus, because it's not like soft tissue shit all the time. Little shit like, my man tore his whole knee up, right? Like, to me, that's a little more freak accident than the guy that always got a hammy, always got a quad, always got an ankle, right? You know what I mean? Like, so maybe that's more of a freak accident thing. And he's dynamic, bro. And last year when he came back, he was cooking.
Right.
And he was doing that on a limp.
And he still wasn't healthy.
He was limping, bro. Like he was breaking 70, 60-yard runs, limping out. I'm like, this dude different, bro. So maybe once he get it all back together, bro, he could really be that guy that Baltimore needs because they are a team that relies on the run game for sure. G, who you got, bro?
Since y'all talking about trends, I'm gonna continue my trend. We're going back to the Cardinals. James Conner. Bad offenses. And we're talking about sleepers. So you thinking automatically these guys just gotta give you 10 points.
That's tough to call James Conner a sleeper, bro.
No, James Conner is a guy that's hurt every year.
But
He
these
went
guys,
last time he played a whole
He's
season.
solid
Running back, like,
Of anybody on Arizona, that's probably the one player that actually drafted.
but like I said, we're talking about sleepers, so these guys are averaging between 10 to 15 points at a minimum. So these are the guys that are like James Conner. He plays red zone offense most of the time, if not all the time. But he's just passing him the rock. He's not gonna give you yardage. He's going to give you touchdowns.
Yeah.
And James Conner's the kind of sleeper that I want.
He's very touchdown dependent. That's a
I like
three-way team.
James Conner. I like James Conner.
You
as a
need
player.
touchdowns is what guarantees 6 points.
If they're lucky.
And then if there's some passes, 7 points off of just that one play?
Yeah.
Depending on what kind of league you're in. So James Conner is a good sleeper, but not above average.
I'm not mad at that, but
Like I said, I think the Cardinals' offense is going to be horrible, but it's just like there's enough sleepers that'll get you through the season. One game.
no, that's a sleeper. So I respect it.
I like the Connor pick better than the Hollywood Brown pick.
Agreed.
You know, I always got to give y'all one of those last round RBs, right? And my last round, I got a last round running back for y'all watching, man. And if it gets down to that, Scrub over here paying attention real hard, because he's going to try to steal. I'm in this draft with this guy right now. He's going to try to steal my damn last round running back. So I probably shouldn't say this. But I already grabbed him in the big league, man. Last year, you just brought up Pacheco, right? And we seen how Pacheco emerged last season in Kansas City. He ran with that job, right? But one thing I know about Andy Reid, bro, he got that next man up mentality. He don't care where he was drafted. They drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round, and now he's a fourth running back, right?
Yep.
There's a guy on Kansas City, a rookie named Deneric Prince, bro. He only ran for about 1,800 yards in college. Had a couple injuries, and then he bounced around from school to school a little bit. But Deneric Prince, I think, is going to be this year's Pacheco, bro. I think he's going to end up running with that Kansas City job. I'm taking him late rounds in all my drafts, just stashing him, keeping him on my bench, because I think we're to that point where running backs not going to just be used primarily, right? They're going to start trying to replace them earlier and earlier, you know what I mean? So they don't got to ever pay him. And I can see Deneric Prince being that guy in Kansas City, possibly stealing that job from Pacheco.
They still got Jerry McKinnon on that.
Yeah, he's gonna be the guy catching them passes out the backfield. And I do love McKinnon.
Not losing that job.
We're gonna see. Deneric Prince is a monster, bro, and he's like
Yeah,
Pacheco
I told
with
me
large.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire wasn't going to lose that job either, and he sure did.
Well,
Facts.
that was hilarious. Didn't really produce.
He did.
Well, that's how you lose
Good
the
job.
job.
Yeah, Pacheco has produced.
That's true.
That's one of those touch the ball dynamic.
Yeah, he gonna get his. He gonna get his.
Yeah, we're gonna see, man. But that's one guy I say if you can grab him late, man. I think Pacheco is gonna get a little too overvalued this season, bro. I think he's gonna go a little higher than I would be willing to take him, bro. I think Pacheco is gonna go in the 4th round in most fantasy drafts this year.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, people want to take Pacheco early.
He's a good running back this year.
I mean, they're gonna take him early, bro. They're gonna try to project out based on what he did last season. I'm not totally sold on Pacheco yet, but we'll see, man.
I think he comes back and has a better year, but that's just me.
We'll see. We talk about a team that does running back by committee, bro. Nobody has a larger committee of running backs than the Kansas City Chiefs, and they've done that now 4 seasons, bro.
Andy Reid's always been like that, to be fair.
Yeah, he invented that.
Yeah, he's always had a little staple running back.
Yeah, facts. But anybody else got any more sleeper running backs?
Not a sleeper, but I like Zeke in New England.
I wanted to say
I think he'll, but just kind of like Connor. I think
if Zeke would have went to any other team, I don't know if I would have felt that way, but I like him matched up with New England. I think Belichick will utilize Zeke.
and I think they're gonna.
Ramondre.
I think they're gonna dial him back some.
Yeah, I know you don't want to hear that.
Ramondre,
his touch.
I really want to hear that. I just think Ramondre Stevenson is that damn good.
He is,
bro.
but
I thought that about him from day one.
Analytics, I'm an analytics guy. 1,400 yards. We had 70 catches or something. Like something crazy. He went crazy last season.
Too much,
Too soon. You don't want to burn your running back out.
You know how they doing now. They rinsing and repeating with these RBs, bro. They trying to burn them out.
Why bring Zeke if you want to burn them out?
Yeah,
Like
gotta have a backup.
kind of
Yeah. They're gonna have a balance between them.
I mean, they brought in Zeke, in my opinion, because they had to replace production they lost from Damian Harris. Like, even last season with Ramondre, Damian Harris started the season as a starter, and Damian Harris got big carries, bro. They wanted to give the ball to Damian Harris a lot. He just ended up being a little too injured last season. And so, Ramondre, he got hurt a couple times. But
That's another reason.
I'm very high. Y'all know I'm very high on Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's one of the best running backs in the league, personally. We're going to see, though. I can see Zeke being a touchdown hog, though. I can see him just,
Definitely will be.
That's the key. That's the key for Zeke is getting them TDs. But let's keep it pushing, on to tight ends, fellas. The most unheralded position in fantasy football, but perhaps the most important, bruh. Because every season there's only about 3, maybe 4 elite tight ends in a good season. You're talking about what? Kelsey. Waller had a season where he was up there with the elite, but after Kelsey, who I'm missing somebody.
Kittle's like
Kittle.
come November to December, that's when he comes through. Like the beginning half is like very
Facts.
You pray to God, why did you draft this guy?
But like to G's point, man, you want to be able to get a tight end that gives you like 10 to 15 every week, and if you can get that, you can find one of those guys, you got a good shot at winning because. In most fantasy football structures, there's not 2 tight ends on a roster, right? It's 1 tight end on the roster, which makes that position that much more valuable, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So let's talk about some sleepers at tight end. And really with tight end, I think because it's not going to be a whole bunch of sleepers, we can kind of just open it up to tight end conversation in fantasy football and who we think is going to have good seasons, whether it's a sleeper or not. So who wants to kick it off now?
I'll go with Miami's tight end because I know they're doing like a 2 set tight end sometimes.
Yeah.
It's never the same guy playing all the time. I know last year that was the issue with Miami. So I'll go with Miami's tight end.
Like you talking about their committee, their committee of tight ends. I feel you because Tua is. They got a lot of little receivers over there, bro. And at some point you gotta have a big target for sure.
Well, G got a good point because with the Dolphins offense, they got Waddle, Hill. They're gonna open it up over the top. Those tight ends are gonna eat underneath. They're gonna be wide open more often than not. I'm gonna keep it in Florida. I'm gonna go with Evan Ingram in Jacksonville. We talked a little bit about Trevor Lawrence, man. I think Trevor Lawrence will have an incredible year. And I think Evan Ingram will be a part of that for sure. They got a lot of targets over there, so Evan Ingram should be in some one-on-one situations, and he's the type of tight end that can definitely win against some linebackers or safeties. So if he gets a favorable matchup, you're gonna love that you drafted Evan Ingram.
Another one of those guys that had to get out of the shadow of Daniel Jones to prove what he could do, bro. I mean, there's a few pass catchers like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be with a quarterback that's going to get you the ball. And I think Evan Ingram showed last year how good he one of them guys, everybody knows he's nice. Everybody knows he's talented.
A healthy one.
A healthy,
He was hurt. It was like, it was sus. But it's not this Daniel Jones slander. Like, come on now.
It's funny how everybody was hurt when they played with Daniel though.
Yeah, that's true.
Except for Saquon.
My sleeper tight end is a guy that is going to really emerge. He really emerged last season, second half of last year, and became a top 10 fantasy tight end. And that's my guy, Chigo Okonkwo over at Tennessee, bro. Tennessee Titans. Maryland product, so shout out to UMD. Wasn't like a crazy star in Maryland, but had all the traits that you look for out of a tight end. I think this dude's going to have a hell of a season this year. If you're in that 5th, 6th round range, tight end is starting to leave the board. You know, you got to get somebody. Take Chigo Okonkwo. He'll give you the numbers. Ryan Tannehill has proven in the past that he is the type of quarterback that throws the ball to the tight end. So that's a valuable weapon for Tannehill. And if he's going to be a sleeper, like T said earlier, a quarterback, he's going to be throwing the ball to somebody. So Chigo will get a lot of those targets there. Any other players, guys? I got a couple more.
Yeah, I got some. First one's going to be Dalton Kincaid for the Buffalo Bills. They took him in the first round. And Allen, he does like the tight end. The tight end he had last year just caught a couple touchdowns, and he was actually a pretty good streaming option if you were looking for a tight end. I think Kincaid's going to be a guy that can actually be like that guy. Like, I think he could eventually become like a Kelsey or a Hawkinson level type tight end, maybe like a top 5 guy. So watch out for him. If you're looking for somebody real cheap, you might not even have to draft him. You can probably waiver wire him. Jake Ferguson, tight end for the Cowboys. He's a second-year tight end. He played really well last year, and now he's emerging into the number 1 role with Dak Prescott in that offense that definitely favors the tight end. He always likes to give the ball to tight end. I think he could give you like a good 6-7 points. And check my resume, I actually hit on the Evan Ingram one last year, so I'll be hitting him.
Facts. Yeah. Another guy that I would look out for in the later rounds, like what Scruff said, last round type of tight end, maybe even a waiver wire, is a guy who I think has proven that he's an elite tight end, and just got to keep putting good seasons together. And that's Mike Gesicki, man. Mike Gesicki left the Dolphins, and now he's on the Patriots, right? The Patriots have been looking for that Gronk replacement for years. Remember, right when Gronk retired, they signed the boy that was at Tennessee, and then they signed Hunter Henry, and then that same year they signed
Jonas Smith.
They signed Jonas Smith. Yeah, the same offseason they signed both of those tight ends. The only one that ended up lasting was Henry. He's still there. Yeah. Jonas Smith moved on. but now I believe they just brought in Mike Gesicki to kind of replace that role. Gesicki has shown me that he can be a top tight end in this league already, bro. You put him in that Bill Belichick offense where they want to get to the tight end, bro. That's one of the main positions they want to get to. I can see Gesicki emerging as that guy this season, with a top 10 tight end season after being very unheralded to start the whole process. So we'll see how that goes, man. Any other fantasy sleepers that y'all want to throw out? Any position, man? If you want to just throw one out there that you may have forgotten.
Nope.
Good to go.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, hey. Use our fantasy sleepers. Like Scruff said, we have hit on plenty of these in the past. Fantasy football is a big thing within our circle, man. So, make sure y'all continue to tap in with the fantasy football advice for the rest of the football season.